Okay, so things to show you. Right, just in the ensuing time since the last video, what I've done is I've just blocked out as best as I can, or quickly, this radome. I blocked it out with balsa wood, and I'm just literally finishing the last couple of bits of carving. What I'm trying to do is make sure that when I apply the filler, when I sand the filler back to a smooth finish, at no point will any balsa wood show through the filler. It's not the end of the world if it does, but it just means you've got to like dig into the balsa wood and re-skim it again, because obviously a balsa wood will give a different finish to the filler. The filler itself can be polished and finished very nicely. It can be sprayed with a filler primer as well to further improve the finish, because you do get some little pinprick holes in the surface when you sand back due to bubbles put into the mixture while you've been filling. So there's a basic, very basic shape of my radome now. Like I said, it's still basic, and the shape's going to be improved somewhat by carving when the filler goes green, and I'll explain that to you. It's not a colour thing, that's just a technical term for partially set filler, so filler that's sort of just set and gone past a jelly stage to the point where it's not rock hard. It's very nice to carve. It's very nice to carve. I've just taped the fuselage together to give us an idea, noting that I've not put any tape over anywhere where the filler is, because it does impede the drying of the filler, something chronic, and we don't want that to hold us up. But now what I can do with our little radome here is we can begin to see the way an airborne early warning Skyraider looks. We've got a hole here, again not finessed yet, it's got to be filled, sorry, it's got to be cleaned up, sanded. This has got to be sanded back. There will be a spine added to this, and there will be a little aerial here, blade antenna at this point. Not decided how much the engine I'm going to show you. I think we're going to have the cowling open. Don't know whether I'm going to have these panels removed yet though. Take the wing on. Previously discussed that we'd removed any surface detail that would stop our foot sitting flush. So now we can get an idea, just a general offer up. Always helps, gives us a bit of inspiration, gives me a bit of inspiration, certainly when I can do an offer up and see things happening in front of me. Gives me the opportunity to zoom the plane around the room, making aeroplane noises, do a fairly passable impression of a Rolls-Royce Merlin, although this is a big American radial, it's not a Merlin. I can't remember whether it's a Wright or a Pratt & Whitney in this. I think it's a Wright. It's a 3350, I think, but I quite happily stand to be corrected on that. But big powerful engine regardless, sound amazing. So if I hold that roughly in place, we can see physically, there's still the room to get the wheels out. It's a very tight squeeze though, but we can see we're starting to get a shape now reminiscent of sorry, I'm out of the shot there, aren't I? Sorry, we're starting to get a shape now. I might have been actually missed a lot of that shot there. Let's see if I can zoom out a bit. Okay. So if I have been talking and you can see the back of my hands, I apologise. As I was just saying, filler, window there. But we can start to see we've got a bit of a shape here now of our radome starting to appear. You can see this is bad, poor fitting here, but it doesn't matter at this stage. There's a very simple technique we can use to make the fit there extremely good, but still make the radome removable. And I'll show you that in a couple of stages time probably. So you can see this balsa wood taking up much of the area now. So we've done that for a couple of reasons. Number one, the filler weighs a lot. We don't want to bog the aircraft's plastic undercarriage down, holding a lot of weight. Number two, the filler itself is probably dearer than the scraps of balsa wood I use to fill, so it's just a cost-effective method. And number three, filler of bulkiness of that quantity when mixed gets awfully hot when it's drying and setting, and we don't want to warp the underlying plastic structure or twist it and end up with a radome that's not square. So I'll give you an idea of what's going to happen next. I prefer using P38. It's a better filler. This one, however, it was on offer, and it's a little bit grainier and a little bit harder to work with, a little bit, but generally speaking, there's not a lot of difference. And actually, I'm having a lot of success getting that out. We're going to mix it on an old scrap of balsa and just get a bit of a plastic, something better to lift it out with. So I'm going to mix enough to do about half the radome. This filler sets quickly. The warmer it is, the ambient temperature, the faster the filler sets. That'll do. The more hardener you add, the faster the filler sets. Quite nasty stuff, this hardener. It's got peroxide in it. It's what they use to dye wives and girlfriends' hair, things like that. So you don't want it on your fingers. You certainly don't want it in your eyes. I wear glasses, so it helps. But the more peroxide, the more the more hardener you add to your filler mix, the quicker it'll set. So technically, in a cold atmosphere, if you add the minimum amount of hardener, you'll have more working time for your filler. On a warm day, if you add too much hardener, you could be down to 30 seconds working time before it starts to go off. It's pretty quick stuff. Now, if I left, I'm actually going to put a little bit more filler on that because I think we're going to go through this fairly quickly. If I left, sorry, hardener, not filler, this to set now, it would get very, very hot very quickly with the volume that I've got mixed in this big lump here. You can see I've given it a good mix, tried to bring all the edges in. Just going to roll it off this plastic stick because I can use that plastic stick again. The trick is don't ever use it again till the filler's set on it, because if you get any hardener in your filler tin, it starts a chemical reaction, it's going to start going off. I'm going to throw that one away because I don't know how much filler's mixed on this, and I'm going to use this little wooden spatula to apply filler to our shape. And I'm not trying to get it absolutely perfect first time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put filler onto the shape, and then I'm going to carve it a bit and sand it back. Then I might add another layer of filler where it needs it. But as you can see here now, I'm quite new to this videoing myself thing. I'm doing it because of a course I'm on, and the requirements of the course for me to have some sort of social media presence. Not something I'm that fussed about, but quite enjoying waffling away as I'm working. So you can see shapes starting to appear, but I'm not terribly worried about it being accurate or super smooth at the moment, and I'll show you why shortly. Because it's difficult to sculpt this stuff, because technically this would be a sculpting stage, but it's easy to carve. But it's only easy to carve when it's in the green stage of drying. Once it's actually set, it's damn tough stuff. So what we're doing is we're just filling to the point where I can start finessing a shape. Again, it doesn't matter that I've not been able to fill the entire shape. That's not what I'm trying to do just at the moment. What I'm trying to do is just get a general shape. And it looks like I might just about mixed enough to do half of the form. Some people would go to the trouble of creating a pattern or turning this into a pattern and vac forming it. If I was wanting to make more than one, it would potentially be a good answer and a good way to go. But this is just making this for me, so I have no commercial aspirations, as it were, for this model, other than sitting on my increasingly dwindling shelf space downstairs. Might have to have a word with my wife, see if she lets me open up some more shelf space somewhere. So that's not quite right yet, but it's as much as I need to do at this stage. We're going to clean my board off. I'm going to scrape that to where it might save a bit of filler later on. There's no point wasting it. So again, just squeeze that in. Trying my best to keep it off my fingers. Right, put that to one side for a moment. And I'm going to switch the video off now, but you can see this shape starting to appear. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to finesse it with my knife. I'm going to carve it as it starts to set. I'll do that now. I'll come back on a second video shortly and show you the actual carving. I'm going to let this set and get the other bits filled first. And I'll come back and show you that shortly. But you can see the shape is starting to appear. It's not there yet, but it's starting to appear.